Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the Sith Dominion podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dana Martin. Tonight we have Cam sitting next to me, who apparently has been a busy little boy since he's gotten home from work. I had no idea, and now I feel like terrible giving him shit. Like, come on, dude, get on the show. What are you doing?
You know, he's lying. He never said such a thing. But I did mow my
Oh.
grass at 5:30 in this Texas heat, and let me tell you, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Holy shit. That HOA be on your ass, brother. You better get that shit mowed. I don't care if it's
HOA don't be on
110.
nobody's ass. They're on me about my trash can, but they're not gonna be on me about
Oh,
my grass. Let me tell you.
okay,
HOA
dude.
call me.
Like, here's the thing. I want to build one of those little shed things and misters for my compressor outside for my AC.
Mhm.
It's science, man. If you just at least shade it, it helps. Cool. Like it's science. Like, you just do it. And like I gotta like ask the H like to say I'm gonna put this removable structure. Like what? Because it's visible from the street, Cam. Visible from the street, and people want to vote socialism. I'm sorry, I live it every day, folks. Like, you gotta pay in for seeing nothing done except for plenty of enforcement for fines. That's what you're gonna vote. Keep voting for. Just remember, HOA, socialism. Actually, it's more fascism.
I agree. Oh yeah, I gotta be sure I spelled that right. There we go. All right. Hold on, I got you, dog.
Oh my gosh, they're selling them in the stores now. Willingly, people just grabbing them and using them.
Who is?
Walmart. Oh, they're
Cool.
under a different brand name. I'll shoot you that in Insta later.
What are they
Anyway,
selling?
uh, we need to not talk about this. Actually,
Okay,
not
well
gonna.
I'm
Thank
putting this
you.
I'm putting this
HOA.
up top.
HOA is bad. Yes. Well, so kind of was the Empire, but it's not harming me. So I just go to my 9 to 5 and mind my business and pay my taxes. And I just want to go to the park and
Get
enjoy some
surveillance
time with my
by
family and
by flock cameras and
change my gait now and then. Just the little things I want to try to do. Listen, okay, I read 1984 about 4 or 5 months ago again, and I
why did
shouldn't
you
have.
do that to yourself,
Oh my
bro?
God.
There's better
Holy
ways.
shit.
There's better ways to
Like,
like ruin your better ways to ruin your day.
oh my. I was, there, folks, listen. I don't, what, Republic, it's, oh my God. Like, the whole, I'm trying so hard to see four, but my brain tells me it's five. Like, I can't get that part or whatever. I'm trying to say five, but I only see four. Like that happens literally today, where the government imposes and says this is what it is, and my brain is like, no, it's not that. And now you're going to be penalized if you question it. If
Hmm.
you wait, but yesterday the definition of vaccine was this, and you just changed the definition to fit I mean, and I'm not saying or what, I'm just as an example, changing definitions and changing rules and expecting us to just accept whatever's happening is very empire-y, if you ask me. Just saying. Okay, Cam. Are you trying not to
I just
get us kicked off? What?
I don't know what to say, man. I mean, I feel like when you read 1984, it's just like you read a chapter and then you just kind of sit there and you kind of look around and you're like, what the hell? What are we doing? I think what really gets me is just it's it's almost you everything's like heightened by social media and definitely sometimes made to seem like worse than it necessarily is. Like, bro, there's flock cameras like within a 5 mile radius of both of our homes in this town, multiple within 5 mile radiuses. And it's just, I'm just speaking from a young person's perspective. And this is just me being open with you in the chat, which I've done many a time. But there's a, there's a bitterness from some people my age that want to do what you just said, right? You know what I want to do with my time, Dana? I want to go work, earn a living, come home, play golf, take care of my family, and do the right things with my financial situation, right? And just kind of be left alone, hang out with the people that I want to hang out with, um, and just do what my parents did, right? Like volunteer with little league baseball, do all just do all the stuff, right? Just have
Yeah.
like typical southern like Texan like hard worker, not blue collar but white collar, right, life, right? Because from my perspective, I was you know had parents that and family that tried to instill hard work, respect, ethics, right, in me. And they were like, I was having this conversation with my grandma. I was like, I was like, y'all told me growing up, right? If you did these things, this is what you would get X in return, right? And because it used to be that way, and it's not anymore. And so, from my perspective, when I'm seeing like the rise in inflation, the um, just absolute borderline, just corruptness of our government in this country. Not even talking about the others, right? And
Mhm.
I did everything by the book, right? And then you go on social media and you see nothing but all of the corruptness, and then it's all the people that take advantage of everything, that don't provide shit to the world, right? Getting away with all this bad stuff, you know. I'm over here like, you know, trying to watch what I like buy at the grocery store because I'm like, man, I'm only walking out of here with 8 bags and I'm going to spend $275, you know, and and it's just like, I mean, what uh, there there used to be, and I'm not saying we got to get rewarded for doing the right things because, like, I mean, even back in your time, like you did the right thing because it was the right thing to do, and it's sad, man, because it's like there's the divide from my generation with people 15, 20 years older than us, right? And there's the stigma, I guess, while well earned for some people my age, but for some of us that are just like, man, like I'm just trying to be like you and just provide and do the right things. And if all I want to do in my free time is go on the golf course and hang out with my wife and take my dog on a walk and maybe have a few kids and let do the whole parent thing, and it's like there's there's a hard line of like hopefulness of like where is that, like I don't necessarily see that, right, in the way that I always thought about growing up it being. And so sometimes I have a hard I had delete Twitter probably about, I think I mentioned this on the pod. I deleted Twitter
Mhm.
about a month and little over a month, probably a month and a half ago. And I
Yeah.
think my bitterness has gone away with what's going on in the world, but it it is like it is I'm getting to a point where like I mean, is there like is there any hope, right? Obviously, for those of us that believe there's always hope no matter what happens in this world with belief in Jesus Christ. But like I mean, I just want to do all those things cuz like I'm a good person, I think. I do the right things. I treat people with respect. I hold open the door for anybody when I go into places. I look people in the eye, tell them thanks, appreciate it when they do something. I try to tip 20% at restaurants when I go out to eat. Like I throw I put my grocery cart back in the little rack when I go to the grocery store. Like I mean, trying to do all the
Yeah.
small simple things that like truthfully is what made this country great, and it's just like that's just gone, and it just seems like our elected officials don't care. Like if you would have told the same person who is Republican, Democrat, whatever, who defend the surveillance system that is going out across this country, if you'd have told the same person what they were doing 20 years ago when they were our age, they'd be like, well, I'm not living in like 1984. And I'm like, well, like we are getting to that point, and no one seemed, I mean, they don't really care because, I mean, they've got 2.5 million in an IRA, a house that they bought for 50 grand that's worth 550,000. I mean, they retired at 55. They've got either a pension or they got Social Security, and like they're not that worried about it. And it's like, I mean, the price for starter homes for people my age in this town at least is 300 grand, and it's like plastic compared
Mhm.
to a house that was built 25 years ago. Shit, even 15 years ago. And I don't know. Speaking for the young cats, it's hard sometimes not to feel a little bit bitter with what's going on for those of us that are actually contributing to the machine. And ironically, it's the best machine that there is out there, but there's such a level of corruptness that there is a way to fix it, but probably not going to be what ends up happening. So,
May I ask a question?
absolutely.
Would you just American dream, right? Quote unquote. Would you say that Dr. Dana, you've been to my home, you know me personally. Would you say Dr. Dana's made it? Living the dream. I mean, he's successful, whatever.
Uh, from my perspective, yeah. I mean, there's been bumps in the road, but that's part of the dream, you know? And if you're looking at it glass half full, like maybe what I'm feeling right now could be bumps in the road. Um, too. But yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, you got, I mean, you've got two good kids, step kid, nice house, sick cars, got a solid job. I mean, you're doing stuff you like to do with your side gig and stuff. You've got a loving wife. I mean, I would think so. I mean, do you have enough money? No, but none of us really ever have enough money or what we want, you know?
Never.
Yeah. And so, but it's like, I mean, from my perspective looking in, I mean, I would say if when I get to your age, if I had what you had, then I would say, yes, I think that you are living out a dream that I would aspire to have. Maybe not get divorced, but I mean, you can't really help that. But I
Mhm.
mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. I have a follow up.
All right.
Um, do you recall the housing crash in 2008?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So while our note was, I didn't get on board of some of those notes that were, I forget what you escalating notes or whatever you
Mm-hmm.
call them. Of course, we were still impacted with our
Mm-hmm.
own debt and whatnot during that time, and very nearly lost the house and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. I was in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s when that happened. Well, yeah, 2008, 2009. So yeah, 30s, early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So how old are you right now?
27.
Okay, so I'm around your age when the bottom fell out, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
I was going to lose everything. Doom and gloom, feelings of I have a kid at that two kids at that point.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the world that remembered that my grandparents promised me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, okay? I'm hearing you, and I'm saying, wow, I recall feeling that exact same way back in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And so I have to now kind of bring up the cyclical nature of keeping us divided and the cyclical nature of keeping the finances to keep us off balance. We're aligned, okay? We're aligned,
Mm-hmm.
but we're also, I want to say, hope is a thing for you because every generation has that happen in there. So at some point in that generational cohort cycle,
Mm-hmm.
something like that happens. I talk about that in my dissertation a little bit. That those shared experiences, 9/11, those shared experiences, the bottom falling out in 2008, those shared experiences, Charlie Kirk getting shot. Okay. Like these are shared experiences of generations that impact them. We don't know till years later. And
Mm-hmm.
so, all that to say, if you can look at me at 51 years old and say, if I'm at that around that level of what I would look at as success, I'm good. You knowing I went through a divorce, I went through all of that other financial da 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 da. The hope is there. What would not have happened is if I depended on someone else other than me to get my own ass out of that situation, then no, it would have been hopeless because there's nothing no one can do to pull me out of that. I have to
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. And did I have to do it conventionally? No. Did I break rules though? No. I just had to be creative
Yeah.
and I had to figure out ways to cut back and where I could. And yeah, it meant not eating out. And I don't want to get into that discussion. The point here is, yeah, I think I'm with you. I feel you and I recall having that same feeling. But there's hope so long as you are willing to do. You are though, right? Like you're the guy that's like, so shit, I don't want to work 18 hours of overtime in the next 2 weeks, but this is the job I signed up for. I'm glad. Well,
Mm-hmm.
except unless they slavery, I mean salary you, and then you're screwed a little. But
No, I'm screwed a little, bro. It doesn't matter. I
so
I
I
I
don't know, bro. And I'm not trying to downplay where you're at. I'm just saying, yeah, I get it and I feel it. And it felt like, at times, brother, like, I don't know what to do. Uh,
yeah, I think like I agree with you, and it's good to remember that because sometimes like you're only present in what like you're going through, and I think there's a I think going back to like HOA's fascism, I think there's a level of corruptness in what keeps this honestly what keeps this machine running that I don't think at this scale like there's been corrupt people, right, in our system, you know, um, for hundreds of years in different forms. But from an across the board, top to bottom, I don't I think the the United States government from top to bottom has not been in a more corrupt position and does not represent the current and future populations of this country more than it ever has than right now, than call it the last, I mean, 2019, 2020, when they shut us all down and wouldn't let us go outside, and that psyop has, I think, led us to what is now, and there's no getting us out of that. And so I think that, combined with that, I think for me, but then it's like, well, are you going to really let the U.S. government like rule your life? But it's like, no. But I mean, it's kind of hard when I look at my paycheck and I see how much I pay them, and then how they're supposed to represent me, and blah 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 blah, and we have all and so that was where the deleting Twitter, doing all of these things, like I had to get out of, not turn a blind eye, because I think truthfully what's gotten us to a lot of this point is turning a blind eye, and then we get what we're getting now. But I mean, I just,
You remember like your grandparents? You mentioned them, if I may. Your grandparents, were they ever afraid to talk about religion or politics? Like, or what? No, they like,
no.
and it wasn't an argument. It was a, well, it's this way. Well, I don't know, Grandpa, blah, blah, blah. Oh, interesting. Why would you say that, Junior? And it's okay. Well, let me tell you a thing or two about the real world that you've yet to experience. That doesn't change my mind, Grandpa. It's not meant to. I don't want to change your mind. I want you to make up your own mind. I had conversations with my grandparents like that. Those conversations do not happen now. Now, and I know this firsthand, I've seen it firsthand with our youth, of parents and grandparents just simply saying, this is how it is. That's empire world, man. That's not teaching your kid to think. And I saw it when I was in the universities, 2 different universities, both Christian universities, but still being told this is what you're supposed to think about this or that. Not, you need to learn how to think on your own. So a piece of this corruption, quite frankly, comes from our school system, which our government runs to keep us stupid, because a stupid, dependent person on the government's going to continue to vote or keep in the government that keeps them fed. And that's not me talking, that's history. And that is the Empire, man. Empire made this show in Andor. You'd see these people starving for their rations. And say, well, what are we supposed to do? It's like,
well, yeah. And then, I mean, and you have to think, it's just, it's so crazy when you challenge what's going on, and just the look sometimes that people give you, and just the sheer, like, almost anger that they have with you maybe disagreeing with them or doing these things. And it's like if we can't help you now, I mean, there's probably no, there was a, and I don't think it was, I think COVID probably escalated a lot of it, when you isolate people, and social media making everybody feel like their voice is the most important one and the correct one, and all of these things, But it's, when you try, like, when you try to tell people, the less that the machine is involved in our day-to-day lives, like how it used to be and how it was designed to be, they work for us. We tell them what we want to be done, the better our lives are. And people are like, well, no, what, why do we want that? We
Yeah.
we should just do what the government tells us to do, and all. And I'm like, no, because when we let them do what they told us to do in 2020, they tried it again with the hantavirus thing, and everyone was like, yeah, no. It was awesome because everyone was like, no, we're not doing that again. Sorry. No, sorry. People can just, that sounds, you got to come up with a better name than Hanta, whatever, Santa virus or whatever it's called. But like, I don't know, man. You know, it'll all probably work out. I'm probably just doom and gloom. Depends on the day, but
Nah, bro.
it just, it, it's alarming what's going on and and then I see like Josiah will send me freaking clips of like 2008 Halo 3 and Blockbuster
Oh
and all the
yeah.
stuff, bro. And I just get so sad because I'm like, that's just never coming back.
No.
So get this. This will kind of segue into what we're probably going to talk about with intimate stories and all these
Hmm.
things. I saw this. I can't remember if I sent it to you or who sent it to me or how. I was on Instagram. I got this clip, and it was this guy talking about how people miss like the whole point of Blockbuster, right? So sure, you probably did this a few times in your day. It was a grandparents. It was a ritual that I did with my grandmother on Fridays when I'd go stay with her. My dad, you know, you go to Blockbuster or Hastings, whatever at the time, right? You walk the aisle, you pick out your movie, or you rent your video game for the weekend, right? And regardless of if it was buns or it was one of the greatest things you've ever seen, right? You watch the movie in its entirety, no cell phone going on, no whatever, and you watched it, you took it in for what it's worth, and then you took it back and you did the same thing, rinse and repeat, right? And it made you really appreciate like the good stuff, right? And it was a part of core memories when you would watch shows or rent a good game or do whatever. And now it's like, oh, what do you want to watch, babe? Oh, I don't know. Pull up Netflix. Um, okay. Oh, let's watch this. 5 minutes in. Oh, this is shit. Pause. Go to Peacock. Pull up. Let's watch something else. Boom.
Do you
5 minutes.
do you have access to my living room cameras? Because I swear to God, that's my wife.
Yeah, but
Like
it's
30
like,
minutes later, it's like, what are we even doing now?
yeah,
We still don't have anything punched up. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like we're just in this cycle of like we watch something for 10 minutes and give it a chance if it's something new. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm gonna understand. Sometimes some of the stuff is not as good as it once was. You're not gonna go probably rent a Tropic Thunder like you did in 2008, and you're probably not gonna find that hidden gem on Netflix or Gone in 60 Seconds or some good 2 hour film you can watch with your spouse or watch with your kids and have a good fun family memory, right? You'll be lucky if all four of y'all or whatever aren't on Instagram Reels or TikTok within the first 15 minutes of the movie. But there was just that level of consumerism is gone. And then they're like, well, why can't we get people to go to the movies? Why can't we get you know, like why aren't people why this Tom Cruise film on Apple TV flop or whatever? And it's like because there's no investment in it, right? I went to Blockbuster, paid my money, rented this thing, put it in my DVD player or VHS or whatever, or my PlayStation, and I have this thing till Sunday, and I paid $4 for it. I'm gonna watch or play this,
Mhm.
and now it's just gone, bro.
Yeah. I sent you that clip about the media, like video games, and it really sucks, man. We don't own anything anymore.
No,
I
I mean,
like
truthfully, I mean, you can see it. I'm building a collection. I've been starting to buy some old Xbox 360 games, man, that were key components of my childhood, man. Like I'm just loading them up.
you got some
Like one
Crackdown
day,
2 in there.
yeah. I mean, if one day, whenever they take it away from us, and yeah, I hope that Xbox has Xbox has the way to win the next console war indefinitely. And bring back ownership. Like that's how you win the next console war. And I shouldn't
Jellyfin.
have to connect to the internet to play a single player game.
Amen.
But all that to say, I think if you
Not familiar with Jellyfin.
if we're going back to what everybody clicked on this thing for, the whole reason we're here, intimate stories, investment, like that was my whole Blockbuster point. There was a level of like intimacy might not be the word, but like investment in what you're fixing to spend the next 2 hours of your time doing. And regardless of if it was one of the worst movies you've ever seen or one of the best movies you've ever seen, you still sat there the whole time and watched it. Like, I don't know how we get that back.
Yeah. Yeah, there was the whole waiting for you'd put in your pre-order, and from your pre-order you'd show up at GameStop at 11:30, get in line, whatever, for the midnight release, and you walk in and get your paper wrapped around with your receipt. Like your that was an experience, and you would meet people and shared like-minded people.
Dude,
And honestly, you talking about Republican, Democrat, like that shit
didn't
doesn't matter
matter.
in a
Didn't
GameStop
matter.
line, brother.
We're
Y'all
all
are
in
all
it together,
stoked
bro.
to see what is Cortana alive. Like what happened, man? We know Master Chief's back. What the fuck? Like we were so pumped for that shit. All right, you're
Well,
right. It
dude.
ain't happening again.
Well, dude, I bought. You can see it up there. I bought the Halo Campaign Evolved Remastered Collector's Edition. The only reason I bought it at the time I bought it was because we were on the golf course. It came out. Josiah was like, I was like, fuck, bro, they have a Chief statue. Like, I really want. I really like. I want it, man. And he's like, well, you better get it now before scalpers get it. And I'm like, hush, true. Texted Woods. I'm like, hey, kind of want this, pretty hyped for it. Like, can I get this? She's like, sure, whatever. We'll make it work. So put it on there. Didn't realize they charged me off the rip. Whatever. Anyways, things sold out in 6 hours. And
oh my God.
And there's scalpers relisting the thing for $800. It was $199.
Scalpers, man.
Like, what are we doing? It's just, we talked about it. We've talked about Pokemon cards.
Kid. Yeah, the kid just wants a pack of cards and get it to pull a cool one,
Yeah. And
there's not even a pack to be found.
And they got these girls on Instagram that are buying up all the packs with their OnlyFans money. You're doing all like, I mean, it's just like, I mean, there's no GameStop midnight release experience anymore. There's
Right.
no like chilling in line with some random dude that works at your Domino's, and y'all are sitting there. You've become best friends for the last 45 minutes because you both freaking loved Halo 2,
Yeah.
Or like I remember GameStop in Huntsville getting the freaking Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. My grandma taking me to get it because I had pre-ordered it because I made a good grade on a test, and you got the little Pokemon like Pokeball clicker thing that came with the case and all that stuff, and GTA 5, going and getting that, and like now these kids just freaking sit on Discord or LAN parties, you know,
Yeah.
like going over to your buddy's house and hooking up to separate little TV and playing at 720p on some big 15-inch box screen TV with your Xbox. Like, uh, that's the stuff I want to get back to. I mean,
You'll
Discord's
never
cool
get
and
back there,
all.
man.
Xbox Party's fun. Like, I mean, shit, even Xbox Party on 360 was still like, you go to school the next day and talk with your homies about what y'all were talking about on Xbox Party. And
Yeah.
now it's like, just not the same, man.
Bravo here. Master 2 Pro. You got online shopping has destroyed going to the store. Yeah, totally. Honestly, like, yeah, I talk about that experience, but like I'm old now. Standing in a line does not appeal to me in the same way that it once did. So I'm just as guilty, something coming out, I'll just, all right, just send it to me. Don't, I don't know. Seems like so I had this guy that worked for me. He was from Romania. He escaped during uh communist Romania, and his story is his story to tell. But from what he shared with me, it was not pleasant. But he used to talk a lot about how we don't know, us Americans are just the frogs in the pot. We don't know what's happening to us. He got to see it, blah 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 blah, and um, I I see that, yeah, we've all done it, right? Like we slowly have fallen into the trap of online, of streaming, of cutting the cake. I just said the other night, we did the same thing you were talking about. We spent 30 minutes and we went to like four different freaking streaming services. And I'm like, this is why everyone wanted to cut the cable. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Well, and he got the same login for all four streaming services,
Oh
so
my
you might as well combine it all.
Yep,
It's
yep,
just,
and,
it's
Google already hit you up and said, "Oh, by the way, you there because of this breach, you have all these passwords saved that you're screwed now and you gotta." Great. Yeah.
well, I mean, I had this conversation with a coworker about, and I'm not trying to talk about the AI subject because that could be 4 episodes within itself. But what was the point of, you had what was it, Redbox, right? They used
Mhm.
to be at the CVS's, was it CVS's? Didn't
Yeah.
have to wait in line, was more efficient than Blockbuster, right? There's this common word with all the stuff that we're for the last 20 years, right? Since call it 2005 that we're progressing to, right? We're making it more efficient, direct to consumer, all this stuff, right? Efficient, efficient, efficient. You know, you don't need the cable box. You just, download the app on your smart TV. Efficient, efficient, efficient. You know, use AI. You can make your grocery list while you're doing this and blah, blah, efficient, efficient, efficient. And it's like the whole point, uh, like, we don't have enough time to do the things that we want to do during the day. That's what makes the opportunity and the time that you spend going to the Blockbuster with your kids to rent the movie that y'all are going to watch Friday night after they get out of school and you get off of work, that you're going to watch together after you eat dinner. That's what makes that moment more special, right? And when we have the 4 streaming services that you and your wife are both fighting over which one you want to watch, you know, and you watch the minute and a half Netflix preview and you're like, yeah, it seems fine. Then you're 5 minutes in and, oh, something's going on, whatever. And it's like, it, it takes away this efficientness that we're trying to get to worldwide with everything that we do in our lives. It's going to save us so much time and so much energy and blah, 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 blah. It takes away the intimate moment of human connection and human shared experiences. That is what makes us being on this floating rock, that if it was a centimeter to the left, we'd freeze to death, or a centimeter to the right and we'd burn to death, but we just happen to be on this floating rock that's in the perfect spot for us to live and thrive and build and create things and have all these shared experiences. And we're just torching all of it away with efficiency. I mean, look at buildings 60 years ago. Look at churches 60 years ago, some that are still even built in this town, compared to churches built now. You go drive down to 1488 in Magnolia when you're coming in, and every single building, regardless of whatever is in that building, looks the exact same. There's no anything that you're like, that's one of the coolest pieces of freaking man-made construction I've ever seen in my life. And then you're like, it's a square box.
We were there this weekend. We went to Babbin's. You familiar with Babbin's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that place. Anyhow, we rolled over there. Don't tell Zane, because I think Zane was around Willis working on his car at that time, so could have probably said hi. Invited him.
But you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
But on the way back, we were on 1488, and I went, "What is this?" It was like a Taco Bell, a Burger King, something else, and they were a new Whataburger, and they were all the same thing, just a different color. That's it. Like it was the same freaking box. Or the strip centers, which used to have their own kind of signs that showed the store's logo or whatever. It's just this banner with just the name of each store on the top. And then look at the cars. The colors of the cars in the 80s and 90s were bright and vibrant. And now everything's this dull and washed. The movies we watch are dull and washed. Like everything, the color's gone. Oh my God.
Oh, but it's more efficient, Dana.
Dude. That's a whole freaking everything is LED white. Everything now is effing LED white. Like you can't, and I have it in my own office. Like I can't. I'm not throwing rocks. I'm just stating, like, what we are, the frog in pot. Whatever is being done and whatever's the ultimate end goal is, I think maybe we're either conspiracy theorists and weirdos, or there's something to it. But at the end of the day, we can all agree that where we all are today is not the same place as it was 20 years ago. It just isn't the same place at all.
And it's because you and I and others that probably overanalyze and think about it too much, but like really crave, like you've talked about it with your, working from home and stuff. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like there's a human connection, that you're doing now with your live streams during lunch and all that stuff. Like there's a level of human connection that we need, right? and that we crave. And there's something in us for those of us that really need and want to experience that and really crave that when we're seeing that go away. But we've had it before, and we've had it in the things that we enjoy, and they're doing everything to take it away from us. Like it's like but it's just they're knocking over the dominoes, man, and they keep coming. First it's movies, then it's TV shows, now it's video games, and they're taking all this stuff away, and this constant underlying message of like, you don't really want us to own anything, do you? And it's like, no, we're not doing that. We're just, people aren't buying physical copies anymore, and we don't want
It's cheaper
people.
for BMW to install certain pieces on every vehicle, but you can pay a subscription to have that piece activated. That was an uproar when BMW did that. What was that, like 2.5, 3 years ago? And but to your point, that means we don't want you to actually own it. If you want it and want it to work, you're going to have to pay for the rest of your life.
But
What?
the whole point of physical media is the consumer's option to choose how they want to consume your product. Because without me, you do not make money on the product that you created, right? There is no profit margin and they're just, and that's just going away. And there's, there's no amount of uproar that's going to change Sony's mind about what they're doing, and people say like, oh, well, the physical copies are just, borderline like key cards at this point. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they're just key cards. That is a problem, yes. But the fact that they're taking away my option to go walk to GameStop, walk to Best Buy, to go buy that key card and have a physical copy of it is ludicrous. It's theft. There are games now on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 with those stores being closed, right?
Oh, yeah, it's being decommed.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
shit.
you don't have the physical copy of those games, you cannot play it on that console or any of the next gen consoles that they may be on, like Lego Lord of the Rings, and then a couple of other games that like I played once or whatever, but like I'm
Virtual
not like
pool, yeah.
yeah, and so like, but the option of what they're taking away from us is, I mean, we fought a fucking war over a 3% tax on tea, bro.
Yeah, but to Tiger's point, I don't like computers, everything it has become, but I study computer engineering. Like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed?
Mm-hmm.
I think, how do you just not play the games, just not buy them and download them and play them? And you're one of, but it would take millions of people to stop. Like, you would have to say, whatever the next big thing is, and it's only going to be download, no physical copy, not playable even if you had a physical copy, whatever. Like, they would have to have half the people who would have purchased it not, and that's just not going to happen, bro.
Well,
It's just not going to happen.
Well, there could be, and this is the hope that we've gotten back to, there could be the fact that Sony's next, like I said, let's say Xbox goes, or Xbox, right? Nintendo's in their own world. It doesn't matter. We're not even including them in these two, right?
Sure.
It's a whole different console. If Xbox goes the opposite direction of Sony, right? and almost promotes the fact that their console is going to have disc compatibility, gonna have a disc drive. Oh wait, hey, you got Blu-rays? Well, fuck, we'll just play that shit on here too, brother. You know, like
You see that
Xbox.
USB port in the back? Yeah, that's extra storage for that. We won't give it to you, but it's an open port for you to use extra storage.
Yeah, I
Little
mean,
things, dude. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, like, come play Xbox. Xbox for the gamers. Hey, guess what? We're making Halo Xbox exclusive again. Gears is Xbox exclusive. We're going, screw it, man. We're going all in on nostalgia, like disc, like extra storage if you want to use it, all
And
these
Sega's
things.
on board, so we're getting a new Sonic, baby.
Yeah. And so,
I don't know. I'm just
and,
hoping.
and, and you have, the average PlayStation gamer who might make the switch, bro. And, you know, if Sony sales for the next PlayStation 6 get cut 25%, call it. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's such a it's brewing, and you're seeing it more after the PlayStation news, the of what's coming
Mhm.
with games.
So I see that kind of divide though, like PlayStation, Xbox, Android, iPhone, right? And iPhone made a couple of bad moves with their phone, intentionally doing things that there were a large number of people that were like, it's okay. But there was a number of folks that were like, that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And will no longer use iPhone. That hurt and hurt their stock too for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're right. And then, a little more transparency after that, et cetera, et cetera. So I think maybe you're right. There, when I look at that situation from that lens, I could totally see your diehards. It doesn't matter if it's a not as good graphically and really hasn't ever been. I am always going to be a PlayStation guy. You're not going to convince them otherwise. But there's going to be a chunk that I think would come over for something like that because they're with you too, right? Like backwards compatibility is I I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why us, especially us old gamers with some cash that we could buy this shit if you make it worth our while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what we have about that, and maybe it is what you're saying, man. Totally, that nostalgia of cracking it open, checking the glare for the make sure there's no scratch, blow off any lint, put that sucker in, and don't shove the tray. Damn it, push the open
Mm-hmm.
close button. Ah, shit, ring of death. No, there's something
Dude,
to that.
these kids nowadays don't know what it feels like to get that ring of death, brother. I mean that shit dead ass is like 9/11 for a gamer, bro.
Man,
I remember my first Xbox and I worked so hard, so many chores, doing whatever to get a 360, man, working so hard. And I played freaking 10 hours a day on that thing in the summer, 12-hour days in the summer, dude. And that thing just got its freaking, it just got wore out, bro. I mean, that was like, I would have buried that shit in the yard if I didn't send it back to Microsoft.
nice. And that
Back
was cool.
before.
Like when they realized what it was. I worked at Dell at the time that happened, and so big, scuttle around the old Dell techies. And a piece of foil is all you needed. It's just like what happened on the CPS and blah blah blah. Same thing was happening with laptops we had because we used the same manufacturer for hard drive. Oh, I don't know. I hope I don't get in trouble for that shit. Anyways, moving moving on. Uh, nah, you're there was something to that, and that memory is etched in all of our brains. We collectively, in my generation and yours, have that memory burned into our head. That
Mm,
the red. Oh no.
yeah, back before Bill Gates decided he wanted to become the Antichrist.
Mm. Oh yeah, it's people.
It was really
Um,
Balmer. Balmer was really carrying Microsoft, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, he was the face though, man. Let's see.
Well, what
Right
else
to
do you want to? What
repair.
else? What else do
Oh,
you
I
want to
like
talk
that.
about now?
Hold on, let's roll that, dude. Right to repair versus certified technicians. Yeah, dude, the cars. GM was trying to make it where you or some no, not GM. Someone was passing a bill, or there was something in our government bill that said people weren't going to be allowed to work on their cars or some bullshit. I don't want to spread misinformation, so I don't have the details, but there
No,
was
I think
something like
I think
that.
it was Ford that was wanting to do that.
Mm, man,
You don't get to tell me what I can and can't do with the things that I own, that I paid my own money for, bro. That I paid taxes on with money that I was taxed on to purchase your product, when your technician who doesn't know how to do shit, and I can watch a 30-minute YouTube video and figure out how to replace the thing in my car for half of the cost. Like, I don't know, maybe if you just like built stuff and treated your consumers well and didn't, I don't know, price gouge repairs. Like
yeah,
Dana, think of how much dealerships take advantage of the average person changing the freaking cabin air filter, dude. Bless you. Not
thank you.
even the engine air filter. Because look, I can understand. Hey, you know what? You don't want to get down there, change the engine air filter, do whatever, buy the thing on Amazon. I can understand. On some of the newer vehicles, it's really hard to get to, and they made it that way because they're stingy bastards. But like, I mean, think of how much they take advantage of people for that.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll charge you $65 to change a cabin air filter at a dealership.
yep.
And then you know what the funny thing is? When you tell them, like, I played this game with them last time. They were like, hey, you need to, what's this car? Hey, you need to change your cabin air filter. Use the vehicle. We bought it at 30,000. Don't really know. Whatever. We've come in a few times. Need to change it. Whatever. He's like, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I might just gonna buy the part and do it myself. He goes, well, I'll give you half off the part and won't charge you for labor. I'm like, well, how much is the part? It was like $40.
What?
I'm like, fuck you, bro. I mean, get out of my face, dog. Get out of my face.
Oh my god.
Like, and you wonder why people don't want to deal with dealerships. It's because you're all scummy. You're doing nothing but wanting to take advantage of hardworking people. Like, you know what buys people's loyalty, Dana? You know what, like, buys people not wanting to do
Money.
business with someone else?
Money. Oh, what?
What we were just talking about. You know what bought people's loyalty with the Xbox 360, outside of the fact of it being the greatest console to ever be created and great games and all of that? When they realized there was a problem, they said, hey,
They
man,
fixed it.
ship it to us. We'll get it fixed. We'll get you back up and running. And you're like, badass. Microsoft wants me to keep gaming, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going
But
to
I'm
ship
outside
it
the
back.
90 days. I've had this thing for 4 months, 5 months, 9 months. Doesn't matter. Send it to us.
Yeah, send it to us. We'll get it. We'll get you
We'll
fixed
eat
up and
that.
running, baby. Yeah. I
They
mean,
bought my loyalty on that day. You're exactly right, dude.
and that's another thing. Gone, taken away from us, bro. There is very few businesses nowadays that will do anything like that for you. It's that level of service is so foreign that when you go to a place that gives you even a glimpse of that, I'll look at Woods and be like, I'm like, I didn't even realize people still did that, bro. Like, I want to go back and do business with that guy because I mean, he really took care of us when they were there, you know?
Dude, here's the thing. If we're in my wife's car and we roll up somewhere, we're average people. If we roll up in my car, we're not average people and people treat us differently. Good, bad, indifferent. I'm just saying. There's something inherently within within a business that, oh, this person probably has a little more, and so we need to treat them a little better to make sure that we can get a little of what they have.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds cynical, but I understand that's how it works. I'm not, oh, they just like my car. No. I mean, yeah, the dude driving by honking his horn likes my car. But I know I'm not stupid. So when I said money earlier, I honestly, yeah, money can't buy a better way that you're treated so long as you're treating others with respect as well.
Mm-hmm.
I We're gonna tie this in now to Luthen because that dude had shit tons of money. I mean, he was a collector. Yeah, he was a collector, but he was also a funder of the Rebel Alliance. Um, we talked about intimacy in the description, and I promise you that's where we're going now.
We
Not
were talking
intimacy
about it, bro. I was talking
in
about
in
it.
the way that was into the description, but certainly everything that we talked about in this first hour um, is totally relevant to Star Wars. It George tells that story throughout the OG and the prequels. Gilroy tells that story great in Andor. Uh, there's those same themes where we were talking about with 1984 at the beginning, that all the way through home ownership to what we just ended our conversation with is all in all of it's in Star Wars. Because that art really does reflect our society. It was based on our society. So when we talk about intimacy, we talk about relatability. We talk about being able to connect with a character and their story. Um, Maybe relate to a character that we normally wouldn't think we would relate to. A rich, collector of, fine pieces, artifacts, whatever, funding a rebellion. Yet there were many things within Luthen that I could potentially, and I don't know unless I'm in that situation, but I could see myself serving in that capacity if I had the means and was in said stature or position. Absolutely. Um, that sort of intimacy developed with the character and the viewer. They lure you in, they seduce you into feeling and being with that character throughout their scenes. Agree, disagree that Luthen is kind of the example of an intimate character in Star Wars?
Agree.
He's a man of few words. Yeah. Luthen, man, um, coming out of, I mean, he had everything. Why would he do what he did? And there is a little mystery to that still. We don't know exactly what has happened in his past, unless there's some wiki that it was updated and I don't know.
There's probably a comic for sure.
Yeah. Um, but as far as within the sphere of scope of Andor, we don't know. But whatever it is enough that his sacrifice speech. He does sacrifice every single thing that he is and who he was and that he owns. He's willing to give up. for the cause. And what sort of thing would drive him to that? We don't know, but it leads the viewer to think what sort of thing would drive me to do that were I in his position. And again, that adds to the intimacy of that character. What would drive you, Cam, to being that sort of character? Or do you even see yourself as being in that position that you would use it for such?
Mm, maybe. I don't know. It would. I mean, I could see ways depending upon how um, things keep progressing in our own world where we might need. I think some Luthans in today's time would probably help out. You know, with what's going on, and you know, he was just one man, and I'm sure we'd probably need. You probably need 1,000 of them to maybe even have a chance to take on the empire, with those mind, with that type of mind, that type of drive, right? Because I think that's really what separates not like the men from the boys, but that's what separates like the true driven people and just people that occasionally get super motivated every now and then. The 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 willingness to to continue to show up and do the hard things and to live and sacrifice. I mean, his speech in season one, I mean, it tells all of it. Like it's such a pivotal moment for the character and even for the audience too when they're listening to him. You're like, there's that level of connection that you get with a character that, truth be told, we don't really get from many fictional characters in a lot of stories now, you know? But it's because the story of the Empire, the story of Star Wars, I mean, like we mentioned earlier, it's all based on history, man. Like that's what history is. It's the recollection of past events, but it's a playbook of what not to do, you know? While at the same time it's nothing but a recollection of people doing the same thing over and over and over again in 30 different ways, thinking they
You
can do it.
mentioned earlier the whole tumping over tea there, uprising for much less.
Hmm.
Um, I I I think about that, and I don't believe we talk about the sacrifice and the risk that these folks moved their families and whatnot. Let's not talk about colonizing and all that. Let's just listen.
Conquering.
They moved their entire everything that they had to start new here. Some fleeing religious persecution, some fleeing persecution, some just flat out wanting a new start, a fresh start. And yes, it took money in it. We had everything from the richest of the rich to the Irish slaves. Okay, we're going to be real here. They all came over. They had a lot to risk, all of them in this uprising. The risk being we could lose everything, we could sacrifice. And there were rich people funding, but yet still attending the royal whatevers. There's the show Outlander, and it takes place, some of it in this period of the Revolutionary War. And I can't help but think like this is exactly this is Luthen. This is the guy, and this is Mon Mothma. This is Bail Organa. These are these people that are having to wear this public face all the while dying inside, knowing that the votes that they're giving or not giving are sealing some other planet's fate. Like that in and of itself is something that you could never, if you have that goodness in you, could never recover from. And so, to your point earlier, the intimacy of the characters, the corruption that we have in our own government, the corruption that was in the Senate of the Galactic Senate before it became the Empire, all of that, man, all of that we all can relate to, but it's written in a way that makes it relatable on a individual contributor or anti-contributor level. And I do you say it's just the writer? Um, because we have a whole nother series of The Acolyte that I didn't connect with a single one, and you'd be hard pressed to find someone that says, "Yeah, this arc was really intimate. This this writing was amazing." I think Saul may come close if you had to name one, but other than that, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's all Star Wars, right? But
I mean, I think a lot of it is the a lot of it is the writing. There has to be substance there to present art, but a large part of the art too is the is the person that you choose to portray that, and I think iconic characters, and not to say that I think Luthen is an iconic Star Wars character, right?
Mhm.
It I can't think of anybody else that could have stepped in Skarsgård shoes other than him to portray that character. You know, it's it's the same thing with, you know, early Indiana Jones, right? Like, yeah, it was great. It was a great story. It was a fun story, but there's a level of charisma. There's a level of like, when you have Indiana Jones, you only think of Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah.
And there's a would I say that the writing matters more? Probably, but in some cases there are some people that can make call it call it Luke in the Last Jedi, right? You could tell Mark Hamill. We know Mark Hamill's heart wasn't in it because the substance that he was being given, right? The story that he was being given was not one he agreed with, but he played the part exceptional, right? Because he's a worker,
He's a
even for
pro.
all
Yeah.
his faults. And so there's a there's that balance that that has to be had with creating not only iconic moments but an iconic character. You know, it, you take I equate this, and I'm a big Keanu guy. Not even talking Matrix here. John Wick, right? We have had the John Wick story, right? With there's probably been 40, 50 movies like it, right? Jason Bourne, you know, this,
Jason Statham as the beekeeper, the worker, the carpenter, yeah.
yeah, every Jason Statham movie ever,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
But there is something that Keanu does in the John Wick movies that make that character, that story so iconic. And then on top of that, you've got this whole lore that is in this franchise that you just kind of forget about because you think it's just some dude who's only doing this because some Theon from Game of Thrones killed his freaking dog.
Beyond, that's right.
You know?
Beyond.
But it there's the scene when uh Theon's dad is telling him about John Wick, right?
Yeah.
And
Like, what did you do? Yeah.
you're getting this we're getting like storytelling, and all it is it's one guy talking to another guy, cutting to Keanu taking a sledgehammer and smashing concrete, and you're like, what is he getting out, you know? And he's like, he says the line where the bodies he buried that day built the foundation of what they're of what we are today, right? And you're like,
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
you're like the guy that was just driving around in a Mustang with his dog that his wife left for him after she passed away. You know, like this guy is the best assassin, secret agent. What is John Wick, right? But
Mhm.
but he's in freaking Fortnite, bro. Like he's in Master Chief, like all of these guys, right? All of this, you know. And there's people that can do it that to where it can be done. But we just don't there's too much of a divide in the middle, right?
Mhm.
If both things are clicking, they're both here. And a lot of times now what we're getting is they're getting nothing, right? And then a lot of times you've got the people that are talented at what they do. Like the guy that played, what was his name in The Acolyte? What was his name? The
So
No, he's a good actor. The other guy,
come here.
yeah, that guy. I think that guy's a phenomenal guy. I think personally,
Yeah.
if we had a show just about him, I think that would have been 100 times more interesting than what we got. But I mean, he only was trying so much with what he was being given, you know. And unfortunately, you had the main girl that was playing the twins, which I don't know why they just didn't recast. Why they just didn't cast two different people, but like,
Agreed.
I mean, she wasn't that great.
No.
Wasn't that great? And what was she given a lot to work with? Absolutely not. But she wasn't that great either.
No. You should be able to tell which is which.
Yeah. And I think it's becoming ever more obvious now with what we're getting. Because look, speaking of John Wick 3, not my favorite. Gets a little much at times, but there's still something there, you know. Last Jedi, not my favorite Star Wars movie. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Mark Hamill still does a pretty good job. Daisy Ridley throughout the sequel trilogy, not really given a whole lot to work with. Does the best she can do. Adam Driver, not given a whole lot to work with. Does the best that he can do. You know. But I just think that when we get these movies now and these shows now that give us, truthfully, was the standard 15, 20 years ago, arguably. Like, it's pretty special. Like, I think if this Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie has like a hint, an inkling of the soul that like Skeleton Crew and totally two different ends of the spectrum, but I'm going to land the plane. That Maul Shadow Lord, that Andor, like the soul of those projects, right? Like you feel like there's something behind this, you know. Not only do you feel it, what you're seeing is what you're seeing on your screen is telling you that too. Like it's telling you a story and it's wanting you to soak it in and just not look at your phone and scroll Instagram reels that Andre Whaley's going to send 6 of them at one time, you know? But it's showing you, right? And that's what makes the art so special, because we spend hours talking about one character, you know? There's or 100 episodes of us doing that, you know, multiple times, talking about the same character for multiple hours, you know? And that's because the characters made us feel something. Going back to the blockbuster. We're craving that level of connection with something that we enjoy. And the fact that it's more common for creators in Hollywood to not understand that, I think makes it more special when we get projects like an Andor and you get a Luthen, you get a Cass. I mean, good Lord, the ending scene of Andor, I'm freaking like bawling my eyes out. He doesn't know that,
and she doesn't know.
and none of them know. And then there's this poor little baby, and you're like, oh my gosh, bro. And then it makes you,
everything.
yeah. And then you start,
sacrifice.
yeah. And then you start thinking about like your own humanity. You're you're a father, husband. Like you think like God, I couldn't imagine. Like think of what he's missing out on. Everything he wanted,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't the most important thing that he wanted, right? And it's crazy, man.
So, how old were you when Rebels came out, or when you were watching Rebels the first time?
So I had seen a couple of episodes of Rebels. So that would have been what, 2014, 2015. So I would have been 16. I was not watching that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've talked about it. Like I was probably 22, 23 when I first watched Rebels for the first time. When Josiah and I were watching all that together, when I was kind of coming back to Star Wars post Rise of Skywalker. So,
So do you remember Kanan's death, like that episode specifically? Like I remember where I was, like I remember watching it, right? Like holy fuck. Do you have that same remembrance?
yeah,
Okay.
I remember I
The
was
intimacy with that character within that story was this is what we're talking about. Luthen, that sort of intimacy with the character, the sort of intimacy with the character of Kanan, where his death impacts you on so many levels, right? Would you agree? That right. Who wrote that? Who wrote for Rebels, right? All those cats that get Star Wars seem to write well for Star Wars. And I think the Kanan piece, Ezra, is a very intimate character. I think any kid, mostly, had that, whether they're separated from their parents or, estranged from at least one. There's so many levels to Ezra that were connectable. The kid was written well, and the relationship of mentor and student was written well. All of that was a very intimate look into those characters' lives. And that intimacy translated to the viewer in very emotional, connected ways. People like my son, the lore master, will adamantly defend Ezra Bridger against any freaking, BS that the old man has to sling Ezra's way. And that sort of character defense in a fandom is because it was a do you hear people defending May or Maggie or Faye or whichever one from the act? I don't even remember her name. So no, this doesn't happen with these types of characters. There's no depth to them. There's no intimacy built around them. I, but I don't think it's only because the Acolyte had 1 season and the Rebels had 4 seasons. No, you had that sort of depth through season 1, and we just talked about Andor, that in the first season alone you fell in love with the intimacy of Luthen and what he shared to the viewer.
Well, you have to think like in Rebels when the Emperor is pretty much luring Ezra into imaginary, like giving him everything he would have wanted, right? Reconnecting back with his parents. Like I remember watching that and I'm like, no one's really gonna blame him, you know? Like I don't blame
Yeah.
him. Like, yeah, that's the Emperor. I know he's bad, but like, I mean, I won't. I'm thinking more big picture. I'm like, well, he's not. He's not anywhere else in the canon. Blah blah blah. Like, surely this has got to whatever. But it's like, then it's like, well, no, that's like he's grown beyond. Like
Mhm.
he's a Jedi. He's the journey is bigger than that now. And but I was like, at the same time, I was like, I wouldn't blame him if he walks through that door and the good guys lose. I mean, he was a
Mhm.
freaking kid living
Yeah.
living. I mean, practically on the streets in Lothal. I mean, doing whatever he had to do to survive, and all he's ever wanted to do was be with his parents again. And it's a freaking Disney XD animated show,
Yeah, dude.
making you making you feel some type of way about it. I mean, I've got at least 5 moments off the top of my head with Dragon Ball Z where I've like felt something like that. You know, I remember everything I was doing in for those that have watched Naruto, like when, in spoilers, but like, I mean, when Itachi tells Sasuke the truth about what happened the night of the Uchiha massacre, I remember everything about that whole episode, what I was doing, what type of situation I was in, how I felt, all that. And every time I go watch the clip on YouTube, I just can't help but shed a few tears, man, because I'm like, that's just such a moment that made me feel, and it's a anime in a freaking language that I don't speak. I'm reading subtitles. I'm reading
Yeah.
subtitles on the screen. I can't, if I didn't have the manga translated, like I couldn't tell you if that's actually what's being said or whatever, but like it still makes you feel something. And I can't tell you the last, well, I mean Andor and stuff, but like I couldn't tell you the last new released show that I've watched where I've felt in the last, call it 2-ish years, where I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dune Part 2, but it's not really like a it's not really like an intimate level connection, but like a scene or whatever that made me really feel something, you know? It's like I'm thinking and I'm like, I can't think of just something that's left me speechless, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Kanan death or the Luthen speech, you
Yeah.
know, or
Maul, Shadow Lord for me. Um, Everything about what they're doing with Maul in that was peak for this year for me, no
the
doubt. Um, I I wanted to touch on this, and I this may be where we part ways with agreeing. Over the last few days, I've been watching Obi-Wan, and
I already lost me.
I
Oh,
I want to see a supercut
yeah, Tiger
where
put a
we
good one.
remove everything. Okay, that was
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that. That was
Oh,
really good,
yeah, Rocky. Jeez.
Rocky.
Yeah, that was something.
Moment of silence for Rocky, and not oh Rocky. Shit, where was I? Obi-Wan. Um, if I can get a supercut of just Obi-Wan alone, Obi-Wan with Riva, and Obi-Wan with Vader. Everything else, cut it out
I think you get that. I think someone's done a cut like that.
because that cut makes that move or that show it hits different. I literally we have these conversations. It's something you can throw on in the background while you're doing the dishes in the house, vacuuming or whatever. Doing dishes and it's on, whatever. I'm doing a report, it's on. When am I focusing on my task? When Leia's running across the screen. And Leia's my first movie. I mean, it's Princess Leia. Like, but that was annoying. And there was nothing about that to me that furthered Obi-Wan's story to give a greater understanding of him. The whole disconnect from the Force and then her being the catalyst, he never would have done that because if he would have disconnected himself from the Force, he never would have been able to sense any danger and he knew he was responsible for Luke. Unless I'm wrong and you could tell me so, but I feel like I could die on that hill. That never would have happened.
No, you're right.
So take her out of it. He keeps the force. You don't even need her. And then everything else, I'm actually okay with. I'm okay with an Inquisitor like Riva being overzealous and going with whatever. And then her in the end being like, what, like, I'm stupid and I fell for it. And now what? And he's like, well, you fucked around and found out. So enjoy your life and walks away. And that is Obi-Wan. He would not end her. He would walk away. I don't think though he would have left Vader a second time. I think he would have finished Vader then and there. That's
I
my thought.
agree.
But outside of that, I thought differently after this other watch through. Watching it really close together too, like in a matter of about 4 or 5 days. And so I did want to bring that up with the storytelling and the intimacy of the character. We got a really intimate view of just how broken Obi-Wan Kenobi was after all of that, which we would assume so. Yoda broken, lost his mind, whatever. Like, yeah, it makes sense. You lost in Fate of the Galaxy, etc. Um, him fighting as best a Jedi alone could, I thought actually was done really well. The balance between we need to keep secret versus I have to be out in the open in this moment or else was done pretty well. And then his emotion every time he interacts with Vader, it gets harder, um, emotionally and heavier and thicker in the air. You could cut it. And when you put all that together to that moment where Obi-Wan, with tears in his eyes, says, "I'm so sorry." Like, that's I really feel that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. His brokenness is in the disappointment that he did, like, he failed his student. He failed in every aspect to do anything right concerning the chosen one. And so I thought, from my perspective, I thought they got that right. And I thought, if you can pull out and kind of form it on your own, then you can get a really good intimate picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You disagree?
I don't know, man.
Maybe.
There's something there with Obi-Wan, but there's a lot that you gotta. I don't know, man. I
Did
think
you enjoy the scenes, like the training scene and stuff like that?
an Obi-Wan.
Yeah, between him and, like, where it's flashbacks and you get more Hayden and
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
I enjoy the him and Hayden scenes. I'm with you. There's a lot of, and I enjoy their final battle. I enjoy the
Yeah.
all those moments and stuff. But if I had the keys to the kingdom, I would have told the story without them ever meeting. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, it still technically fits into the canon certain extent. And I mean, I like the Leia and Obi-Wan scene at the end when he tells her about, her parents, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
But
that's good.
like there's so much I would have done a little differently with that, and I just think them their whole interaction and how it ends, it just doesn't fit or work for me. I would have watched 6, 8 episodes of Obi-Wan fighting some freaking bandits or something on Tatooine and dealing with PTSD of, him like
Yeah.
failing Anakin and doing all that and us getting Obi-Wan nightmare scenes, some flashbacks there, and then also at the same time getting a Vader story, like a parallel, story of them two at the same time, right? And you're kind of telling, obviously you couldn't title it Kenobi, right? But like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling two sides of the same coin and what their lives are like during this time, because there's a lot there, and I don't think that they ever needed to fight up until A New Hope after their, because I don't think you would have left him to die a second time,
Mhm.
or let him live a second time.
So, you don't like Riva?
No,
No.
no, I'm not. I think the Inquisitors are interesting when done well. Second Sister, Jedi Fallen Order, Grand Inquisitor, even Ninth Sister. I mean, there's a good story to tell there. It's just there are so many instances where, excuse the fact that lightsabers apparently just don't kill anyone when you get stabbed by them anymore, even a youngling. Um, the the biggest issue that I had with Riva was when they let her live at the end, knowing what she knew.
Yeah.
She knew Anakin Skywalker was Vader. And all of us that grew up with this knew that there was like less than a
Mm-hmm.
handful of people that knew that. And the people that did find out did not live very long, right?
No.
And that was what made that mystique, that like aura of Vader so cool. And you make this new character and you just do this thing of pushing her to fit her in a story where she's not even really needed, you know?
Yeah.
And I think personally, I'm is she my favorite? No, I'm fine with her up until the point where she loses to Vader in their fight, and he's got her on her knees with her lightsaber, his lightsaber. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a Count Duke. Like,
We're gonna get a Dooku moment. Yeah.
hey, that member Barry, I know. Yeah, I know what you're doing, Deborah. I know what you're doing. You should have done it. And then they don't do it. He stabs her again, and she lives again. And you're just like, brother. I mean, y'all killed Qui-Gon, who was
Yeah.
who was the most loved character in that whole movie, and y'all killed him. Now I know, he got hit in the nose, neck, nose, whatever, right? And then but he was stabbed in the center of his whatever, right? Whatever.
It
But like,
severed his spine. It was off centered for
yeah,
me. It
yeah,
missed the organ by a millimeter.
yeah, twice apparently, twice. Keep in mind she
Went
was
in
a
the
young,
same hole.
you know, but uh, but yeah, I mean, Reva's not my favorite, but probably the worst part of that show is all the Leia stuff. Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine just
No.
never should have been the thing. That I think was the biggest portrayal to the character that they did in that whole show.
Yeah, I agree. And I had said that, she would, him leaving her to decide her own fate, he never would have left her to decide her own fate.
Not
He
knowing what
would
she
have,
knows. Not knowing what
no
she knows.
way. And especially at the point at which he really knows and gets the danger that Luke's in now. There's no way he's ever leaving Tatooine, and there's no way she's leaving Tatooine alive.
Well, you've read the John Jackson Miller Kenobi book, right?
No.
Really?
No, I have not.
Have you
Is it
listened
good?
to
Is it canon?
no, it's Legends, but you should still
Oh,
listen to it or read it. I'm
okay.
sorry.
I'll listen to it. I got credits.
But like, I mean, I know you can't compare, whatever. Books are a little different, whatever. But like, it just tells the story and it fits so well with who we get in A New Hope. And it fits so well with the character and the story, and it's so consistent. And it's so real and authentic, right? Like,
Would you say it was intimate storytelling?
yes.
And how would you define intimate storytelling? We keep saying what examples of it, but let's define it. How would you define that intimate storytelling?
Intimate storytelling for me would be seeing, outside of how it makes me feel, how I remember the moment of seeing it. To me, the really intimate moments that resonate the most with me in storytelling is when I almost feel like I've been through what the character is going through, and oftentimes without ever having gone through it. Maybe in my own way, I've gone through something similar. Um, but there's the level of authenticity that you get in. It's not in that Kenobi book. It's in, I think, Rise of Darth Vader, right? It's in
That one.
it's when Obi-Wan's in a bar, not a bar, cantina, sorry. When he's in a cantina, he's sitting around and this hologram image of Vader comes up, right? And Obi-Wan, realizing who it is, has a anxiety attack, panic, whatever. But like they walk you through are arguably what we've talked about, one of the strongest willed, never finish the fight best you can Jedi, right? Has a anxiety attack because Anakin has turned into this monster, right? Or that's what he's assuming, you know. This large black figure, creature, whatever, robot, right? Cyborg, who knows, right? And reading that, him going through that, it's so relatable because it's what any of us would do given a similar instance, right? And maybe have gone through a similar instance, you know? I mean, I talked about John Wick. I mean, yeah, do the same thing if somebody came in and did what they did to my dog, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, I was talking about the Naruto scene, right? Two brothers, right? I never had a brother. Would have loved to have had a brother, just never in the cards. Love my sisters. I have a stepbrother, great dude. But, you know, having a, you know, with those that understand that story and this, and you have this assumption about this one character, right? You go 200 something episodes and you get to this point and they're like, actually, it's the complete opposite of everything that we've told you up to this point, right? And you're like, what the hell? And then they show it to you and then you're like, oh my God, things. But like, I mean, you're still like, what the hell? I'm still like on his team, right? Am I breaking up?
Yeah, a little bit. Hold on one sec.
What the hell?
Mix.
Uh-oh.
You got that cable internet, dude? Is everybody logging on at once? Is that
Hell no, I got a gig, bro.
all right?
But anyways, you've got your whole world's flipped upside down and you're trying to process that. And then at the same time, there's this brother scene that's going on and you're just bawling. You're bawling, right? Yeah, I don't even have a brother. I'm bawling. I'm thinking like, what if I had a brother? What if this would have happened? Whatever. I'm bawling, you know? Still do every time I watch it. And but I've never had any experience like that. And I'm still going through that, you know? You have the Ezra stuff with his parents, separated from his parents. All he wants to do is get back with, you know, see his parents again, be with his parents again, even though he's got a new family and we've had that journey with them and his journey with that, whatever. It makes you appreciate, regardless of oftentimes relationships with your own parents, whether you're estranged or, you know, still, whether you're really close to them, whether you're like, I mean, like, you know, had a good childhood, but like, we're not, you know, I'm not really talking to them every day, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. I mean, it makes you think like, makes you, makes you think like, man, like there is a world where, and there's people out there that like have lost their parents, have no relationship with their parents. Like, man, I should call my mom or call my dad and tell them I love them, or, you know, do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's intimate. That's storytelling. When, you know, it's so ironic when you're using that as examples, but it's like that's real, because that's what this this art is. It's taking me out of my own life, giving me something to watch, and then I can interpret or take back what I'm feeling or what I'm learning from this in my own life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you don't make fun of people when they're, you know, feeling a certain type of way about a movie or a show, or they get really passionate about how they feel, but because that character, that show, or that moment makes them feel something that is unlike any other experience in life. I mean, think of, you've played Halo Reach, right?
Yes.
And for those that in chat that have played, I mean, think about the story of Halo Reach. Think of the final mission. Survive.
Yep. How many times did you go through that?
Twice. And it was truthfully one of the games where when that screen went black, I just didn't even move.
Like you
Just
couldn't believe it.
yeah, I just sat there. And funny thing is, I knew what was going to happen. I knew it. I knew what was going to happen. I had already been spoiled for it, right? I was a Halo 1 through 3 kid and then moved over to Call of Duty and didn't play any of them, right? And Josiah and I were in Xbox Fire together playing it, and I'm just still speechless, and I knew what was going to happen. But I'm not watching it on YouTube, or I did the best to finish the fight with Noble Team, and we all die, you know? And it's a video game from 14 years ago, 15
Oh
years,
my God! Don't say
you know?
that.
But you're sitting there and you're like, well, what the hell? Like, we were the good guys are supposed to win, right? Surely one of us is going to survive. I mean, that's what you're thinking throughout the whole game, right? As soon as everybody, boom, death, 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 like, well, one of us has got to survive. I mean, and you don't, and you're seeing the visor crack on your armor. These elites, grunts going after you.
I asked how many times you played the ending or through to the ending. I only did it the once. I never played through it again. I couldn't. I did not even think about Reach. Look, just the whole Halo franchise you brought into this conversation earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
and I hadn't really considered that. But that again is what intimate story. Like you feel like I can relate to John. I'm not a Spartan. I don't have an AI Cortana, but I can understand the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I have a relationship or I don't. I long for a relationship like that. Etc. It's just the writing, the directing, the production, but it starts with the writing, right? It starts with an intimate look within an intimate view into someone's soul. And you said the soul, bring the soul of these types of shows, bring, if you're going to be doing anything in the future, those are the echoes of the souls you need to echo. Um, yeah, man.
That creates the level of intimate storytelling that we've gotten with stuff in the past. It goes back to the same thing with that we were talking about, like with good customer service, lot, buying your loyalty, right?
Yeah.
When you create a story that makes people not even forget invested in it, just attached to it. Like there's a level of attachment that they feel to this project that you've given out that they don't not everybody feels with everything,
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets people coming back. That's what gets people buying collector's editions. That's what gets
Mm-hmm.
people waiting in line at early release showings for a movie or something, Like that's what gets people that's what creates the loyal fan base. They're the ones that truly care about the projects and want to see them do well and want to keep investing in them to do well because they remember, like, 27-year-old me bought Halo, the collector's campaign evolved remastered collector's edition, whatever frick the game's called. Bought that because 27-year-old Cam at his core remembers 9-year-old Cam doing the Warthog run in Halo, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
that's why I bought. That's why I bought that. I have all the stupid Legos in the back because 10-year-old me remembers, or not 10-year-old, like 8-year-old me, 7-year-old me remembers where I was when I found out that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly why I have all this stuff in the background, because I have such a intimate relationship with these IPs or whatever you want to call them, these stories, that it leads me to do that. Like I mean, it, it's almost unexplainable sometimes when you try to, you know, people, like look at you like you're like, what? I'm like, but that's why that's what makes it so special
Hmm.
because we all like try to explain it to the ladies at work, like, dude, you're almost like 30 and you have a wife. Like, why are you buying Legos? I'm like, and I'll show them a picture on my phone, and I'm like, because that's what he would have wanted, right? And it's
Hmm.
10-year-old me, right? Because I was obsessed with these things when I was a kid because so like because all I ever wanted to be was a Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z or Batman or Spider-Man or whatever, like that's why I buy all this shit because that's what he would have wanted, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but then I'm like, like, but you have that too, whether you quilt or make quilts or crochet or do whatever, like we all have something like that, and we just sometimes it takes you taking a step back and like, oh yeah, no, yeah, that is why I do that. Yeah, I do really have a different level of type of relationship with this thing or whatever than other things that I like. And so, but that's what makes, again, what we've talked about from the beginning. That's what makes all this so. That's what makes this life that we get to do so special.
Agreed. As you were talking, I was thinking about early on in the IP of just even A New Hope, and you have characters written in 1977, written in such a way that you cared about them instantly. Leia,
Hmm.
from the introduction of who she is. Oh, she's this badass. She ain't gonna take shit. Oh my god, she just lost her planet. Like that in this span of time, the writing was done in such a way that it created a connection with this character to anyone who experienced loss, right? You've got Luke aiming for the stars. You've got Han Solo who just can't, buy a break, whatever. He has nothing to lose, but everything to lose. Even back then, right? Lucas had the vision and had the ability to write with some help. I know, whatever, with some help, but had the vision to get these characters to connect with us on a very real human level. I'm not just going to say emotional level. That's really surface. A real deep level. Fujita, which I'll learn about as I start working through Dragon Ball, I guess. Um, uh, you know, I, I think of Snape. I developed an immediate intimate connection with Snape by watching a YouTube video called The Tragedy of Snape, and it was just a supercut of Snape stuff. I had never read Harry Potter. I had never seen the movies. I didn't give
Oh,
two
you've got
shit.
to
Just
read Harry
wasn't
Potter.
it wasn't my genre or era, right? And I watched this like 15-minute video and was in tears. And I was like, holy shit. I came home and I said, Charla, let's go to Hastings. The Hastings here was closing. You remember the Hastings down here by the HEB where the Marshalls is now?
Mhm.
Um, I'm pointing like you know where I'm pointing, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're
Texas and
talking
Villa
about.
Maria. Yeah. So go into that Hastings and they're on some clearance. Bam, let's oh no, it's only this one or that one. And then they were running like for $30. It's probably some, hatch job out of China off of Amazon. I ordered the whole box set, man, and watched every one and was like, this is amazing. Storytelling, intimate story. Harry Potter, suck it. Like connected with other characters. I connected with Snape. I connected with Sirius Black. I connected with, I don't know, whatever. Point is, wow, what great writing, intimate storytelling, connecting with the characters on various levels. Oh, shit, dude. You like the Harry Potter stuff too? We don't talk about that much. I know Lord of the Rings is in your bag, but
No, yeah, I was a big I read Harry Potter
yeah, you got a
and
Pottermore account?
now,
Now,
but
come on, bro.
I read all the Harry Potters. I was obsessed. AR points back in the day; those were the most. Got 100 out of 100 in AR points on the
Ah,
Order of Phoenix, which is everybody knows it's read as the biggest book. But th- that scene that I know you're talking about in the book, it's unreal. When you haven't, the movies do that scene I think really well, and there's a lot that the movies aren't able to do because I mean they weren't finished at the time when whatever. Um, but like that whole stuff with Snape is, I mean that the Half Blood Prince is my favorite book because of that. So
so
yeah,
good, man.
I would I would I would recommend listening to the Harry Potter books. I think that you would really enjoy. Harry's probably a little, I don't know, might be a hot take. I think Harry's a lot more likable in the books than he is in the movies. Ginny is 100% more likable in the books than the movies. Um, the final battle between Voldemort and Harry in the books is so much better than the movie. It's not even comparable. Um, like it's the when when the final battle is going on in the book, you're I remember reading that, and I did it with Percy Jackson at the time too. When in the Last Olympian, I think it's when Kronos is like going through New York, and he's the Titan, and he's gigantic, and he's just knocking shit down. But like when they're going through Hogwarts, and when they're writing about how many people are like dead and how they're just laying there, and it's Ron's brothers, you know, and like I'm like fucking 9 or 10 years old. I'm like sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my God, all this 6 books, right, has led up to this, you know, and it's so worth it. I mean, I've probably told you like 12 books just today that you should read with your Audible credits. But if I was going to rate one, I would say the Harry Potter series should be first.
Half Blood Prince, Order of the
Uh,
Phoenix.
no, you need to read. You need to listen to all of them.
Okay.
Start, and I think the Harry Potter audiobooks are actually like really well done.
Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah. Tiger. I when I was a kid, those I was look, I couldn't it's not that I couldn't read. It's just that I just don't like it. And so Narnia was a little smaller than Tolkien's world, and I liked the whole, like, I could pop in and read a little and get some Narnia story and pop back out into reality, just like the Narnia kids. Whereas if it were Lord of the Rings, I'd been reading, like, I'd lose my life in those books. Um, so I did read those. Those were wonderful. Um, yeah, we'll wrap this up, man. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. This went way long. I had no idea we'd do this, but we kind of went nuts in the beginning. But kind of to tie in that first hour, we talked all kinds of stuff. Those things that we discussed in the beginning of the show are important to us. And so when the art is reflecting, even whether we agree or disagree with the artist, or agree or disagree with the intent or whatever, if we enjoy the art, we're going to watch it regardless. And hopefully we'll get to have conversation so we can both come to an agreement and grow together and not come against each other just based on difference of opinion. Anyway, it all ties together because these fans can be at each other. But at the end of the day, we're all fans because we adore these characters. We adore the universe that was created by the authors and the writers. And those intimate characters extend generation to generation in some cases, as Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Chronicles of Narnia, Harry Potter, and maybe the Barbie movie. Maybe that will transcend too. I don't know.
Mhm.
But everyone has a fandom and everyone has their thing, and let everyone do their thing and enjoy. We'll enjoy the good writing moving forward so long as you keep people like Tony Gilroy on the payroll. Darth Mouse.
Mhm.
Here.
Here, brother.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Zane's got shows coming up because it's summer. I don't know when they are. I don't have the scroller up. Zane was just on the sorry, I missed that. Tiger. Zane was just on the House of Isla podcast that they recorded over the weekend. It is up. I think it went up yesterday. And no, I have not watched it yet, but it did go up yesterday, I believe. Go over to House of Isla and on YouTube and watch their podcast. Thanks again for joining Andre Whaley. And if you're late and you have the gumption, you can still join after your Bible study. We like Jesus here. We love Jesus here.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Always remember, kids, peace is a lie. There's only passion. Good night.